Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone who continue through the Holy Spirit to give us His truth. And we therefore go out on the highways and byways along with the apostles and elders and bishops themselves. All right, so your teachers are available to you and are out there for everyone to see. All right, and ask questions, get information. Uh, this is Naaman with the DC camp, and once again to revisit something that I've picked up last, I believe it was summer. The comedian Amber Ruffin, and I'll show you right here. She did a segment. Whoops, let's get rid of that. It says Beyond Tulsa: The Secret History of Flooding Black Towns to Make Lakes. All right, and about 4 days ago, she did another one. What was it? Missing Black Towns, something to that effect. All right. Once again, you have a history here where our people, despite what we went through, despite the constant criticism, the constant labeling, Salakia, of our people as being lazy, you come to find out after being in this truth, and well, especially since you come into this truth, but even if you were just someone who did your research and study that, well, of course it's a lie, but you get down to understanding why are they telling all these lies. You got to understand. Here you had a people under your complete subjection. All right. Just about doing your whim, at your beck and call, built your nation for free. Despite all that, they were unable to take advantage of things afforded to everyone else here. Your programs, protection under your laws, even up until World War II, where the veterans who fought in your wars could not take advantage of the GI Bill, and therefore, what? Buying a home, you got a home here that helps establish wealth. Everything up until present day has been designed to keep our people from establishing a foothold, building generational wealth. All right. So clearly, we have been targeted. We are the enemy. A lot of jakes get caught up in this world, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it. Unfortunately for them, because they're on that hamster wheel and they don't understand why. And we're going to the curses, Deuteronomy 28, and, well, let me go to it real quick. Now, did I preload? There we go. Got it this time. But it still got to load back up because, memory thing. All right, let's go there real quick because Jake, in pursuit of that, what they think is the almighty dollar, nah. Here again, we have to revisit Deuteronomy 28. This only fits our people. Remember, a covenant, think of it as a contract, all right, which we broke. And in here, Moses is telling his people, our people, all right, this is what's going down. He says, and it shall come to pass, Deuteronomy 28:1, if thou shalt hearken diligently, all right, unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Most High Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Remember, Deuteronomy chapter 4 and 7 specifically states that we were supposed to be above all peoples. All right. Chapter 4 states that these laws, statutes, commandments were given to us, and we were supposed to be an example to the rest of the nations. But we went off 42. And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power. All right, for those of you that may just be catching on to this, I encourage you to read this whole chapter. All right, I'm skipping down to 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou shalt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. What are some of them? 17. Well, 16. Curse shalt thou be in the city, and curse shalt thou be in the field. Simply put, wherever you go on this planet, these curses are going to follow you. And later on, it's going to explain why. 17. Curse shall be thy basket and thy store. We were not set up to prosper. This is punishment. In the world. All right. How many entertainers can you count? Whatever they did to sell out to get where they got, they died broke and broken. If you understand my meaning. Now, let's skip on down to the point I'm trying to make. You ever wonder why all these immigrants come over here and they prosper, and you and your family have been over here struggling generation after generation? Well, here it goes. This is Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So you're going to understand with the level of deception here. Everybody thinks Obama was our people. Obama is not our people. Obama is a Hamite. He is an actual, I'm just going to say African to make the point, but when you get down into the history of it, the Africans aren't the Africans, because Africa is the surname of a so-called white man, a Roman general that came as a result of the Punic Wars. All right, with Hannibal. All right, so Ham. All right, keep it simple. All right, out of Noah's 3 sons, Ham. All right, he is the progenitor of the so-called Africans. We were never African. 44. He shall enter thee. Now, with this, what do you think that means? Look in our neighborhoods, and I'm going to stress our neighborhoods. Who owns all the stores? It's not that hard, people. People have a problem with what we're saying because you don't understand the level of deception. Your preacher officiating in these churches, these whorehouses called churches, was set up all along to deceive and tell our people what they want to hear, not telling you what you need to hear. All right? That's why you're bucking against what we're telling you. Actually, what the scriptures are telling you. Because you've been deceived. All right, let me read it again. 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. You ever wonder? Any kind of discussion comes up, anytime you go to a retail store, people look at you funny, like, what are you doing here? Because they know that you don't have no money. Case in point, look at years ago with Oprah when she was overseas. Was it Germany? Here she is looking at in a purse. Clearly this woman has the means. She could have bought the whole damn store and the people in it. But they let her know, hey, you're still a black woman. So here she is, a billionaire. And they made like she was going to steal something. If any of y'all recall that. All right? Over a fucking purse. But, hey, that's the American mammy, Oprah Winfrey. So, fuck it. All right? And thou shalt be the tail. We are the end. All right? But, hey, what's coming? Remember that scripture, all right? First shall be last, last shall be first. But anyway, back to the article. What we have here is a town, one of many, sad to say, that are now lakes towns that our people built. This particular one, this is talking about in Benson, Alabama, or used to be. It says there are extraordinary stories of American black history, many of which have been buried beneath the tides of time, and in this case, literally. Lake Martin in Alabama is home to one of those stories. In the 1800s, a black man from Alabama named John Benson escaped the thumb of slavery, traveled across state lines to save his sister, then became a wealthy man who founded a black community on the same land where he once was a slave. Here's another thing that irks me. Me personally, I don't like being around crackers. I don't like being around Edomites. It's bad enough you got to work with the motherfuckers. You got to put up with all this shit. But in the case where all this gentrification is going on, I mean, despite, hey, Jake acts a fool, you know, hey, that's a whole nother video. But now these motherfuckers are moving in and everywhere, and they move in your neighborhood and look at you like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know? Shit just ain't right, but hey, you know, these are the curses. Anyway, continuing on, it says, his son would continue his legacy by building a school as well as the first black-owned railroad in the U.S., and you've probably never heard of either of them. The majority of this story is steeped in the truth, but because any remnants of the once Flushing town has drowned under one of the largest lakes ever made. Lake Martin, which is located in Tallapoosa, Elmore, and Coosa counties in Alabama, was created in 1926 after the construction of the Martin Dam. The enormous lake has nearly 700 miles of shoreline and covers 41,000 acres. The dam is used to generate hydroelectric power for the Alabama Power Company. Because of its size, Lake Martin is a very popular tourist destination, and it hosts events throughout the year. But before there was a lake, there was John Benson and his small black community near Cowaliga, I guess, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, Cowaliga Creek. John Jackson Benson was born September 1850 on the shores of Cowaliga Creek in Alabama. His slave owner, James Benson, owned a plantation in Alabama near Cowaliga Creek. There is barely any mention of John's mother or father, but there are a few things we know. If John was born a slave, then his mother was a slave. John also had a sister he was very fond of who was sold to a plantation in Florida. In the 1850s, it was not uncommon for slave owners to birth children with the black women they kept in bondage, then sell them to other plantations. All right. We don't know if James was John's father, but it wouldn't be far-fetched. The dumb motherfuckers, no, let's not say dumb. The evil, wicked motherfuckers don't understand that that was their child. They're so hung up on race, I'm talking about on color, all right, that you don't understand you are of your father, all right? And they didn't start calling themselves white until the 1680s, thereabouts. So this is a relatively new thing, all right? That separation. They did this, all right? But they are the wicked, so what do you expect? Once James Benson died and his estate divided among his family, John was sent to Talladega. Sound familiar? To work as a slave for an heir, as in, racing. In 1861, the U.S. would begin its Civil War, which would loom over the country for the next 5 years. By 1865, things would change for John, and all he needed was a little opportunity. He was freed after the Civil War and given a mule. After Congress passed the Confiscation Act of 1861, Union generals would often confiscate property from rebels after a battle and give it to free slaves. But I bet a lot of you never even knew that. So I looked that Confiscation Act up. Boy, don't you know that's a reason a lot of these motherfuckers were pissed off? Wait a minute. You're taking our shit and giving it to these niggers? Yeah. So this probably, and I'm saying probably as if, kicked off a whole lot of shit. All right. You talking about, this is 1861. This is when the motherfucker started. So you had, and again in 1862, they came up with another one. They refined it. All right. Man, don't you know? Boy, you talking about piss? You giving my shit to these fucking niggers? Hey. You know, whether it was designed, whatever the intent was, I guess I should say, we don't know if that was done deliberately to piss these motherfuckers off. And of course, who are they coming after? That's us, because we have no protection. All right. Which, oddly enough, is what we're out here telling you. You need to turn to your protection. Your protection is Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. But my point was, we didn't have any means to, back then, because you couldn't, and it's still trouble to this day about bearing arms, in order to protect yourself in a, carnal way. Can't even do that. It says, now that John was free, the young boy knew he was the only one who could save his sister. With his newly acquired mule, John headed from Alabama to Florida to bring his sister home so they could start a new life. A young black man traveling alone right after the end of the Civil War was a death wish, but he went anyway. With his life in jeopardy every day, John searched through the plantations of Florida for an entire summer until he finally found his sister. With a new life ahead of them, the two went back to Alabama to begin anew. The Benson plantation was home to John, and although he was a slave growing up on the Cowaliga Creek, the land still meant so much to him and his family. If he wanted that land, then he needed money, and the best place to get it at the time was the Shelby County coal mines. In the early 1900s, coal was a big business in the area. Thousands of miners worked mines in cities scattered across Shelby and Bibb County. John moved to Shelby and worked the mines for 60 cents per ton. He worked tirelessly until he finally saved up $100. It might not have seemed like much, but it was enough to leave the coal mines behind, head back to his home near Cowaliga. All right, damn, $100. Think about that. All right, I don't have it on this device I'm using here, but I used to have a, what was it? You could adjust uh, due to the time, and because everything after, like, before 1913 is a little different. So, um, adjust for inflation, one of those calculators. But $100, damn. Times are different, but now this dollar's like, it's falling so much, it's just about worthless. That's why everything seems to be going up, but no, it's the dollar going down in value. Anyway, he says he used the money to buy some land from his former slave owner's estate and began to work the land. For the next 10 years, John would slowly acquire more land from his former slave owner's estate. In about 1890, he owned 160 acres of land. A black man born a slave, only to years later buy the land he once slaved over, the epitome of poetic justice. And that's just it. Remember what I told you at the top? The motherfuckers fear. Here it is. We've had complete control over these people. And in most cases, it was 1 to 2 generations later. These niggers got towns. And in the case of, I forget the gentleman's name in Chicago that started the bank, but Rosewood, all these towns, the Greenwood district of Tulsa, all these that Jake was doing good. All right. Didn't have to worry about some cracker, Edomite, saying, they want welfare, they want everything given to them. No. You got to understand. This is fear. These motherfuckers are scared. All right. Even the few that don't know who we are. And I say it that way because anyone, especially in the Bible Belt, that have read the scriptures, I find it hard to believe that they hadn't figured out who's who and who is not. If you understand. All right. Anyway, continuing on. It says, because of the lack of slave labor after the Civil War, that was a big thing, hence the prison industrial complex being born. It says many white farmers didn't have enough manpower to work their large plantations. John saw more opportunities and bought more land each year. John also paid workers using black and white labor, and by 1898, he had amassed 3,000 acres of land. Whoa! On it, he built a massive farmhouse, a brickyard, a sawmill, a cotton gin, and a compression mill. The community produced corn, cotton, sugar, and well as different types of wood, and over 40 families were housed on the land. So he completely flipped the script. All right. John's new fortunes allowed him to become a local bank. He began bankrolling mortgages for white and black buyers, as well as lending money to white neighbors. Once a slave, now a rich and powerful man with generational wealth. That's the most important thing. All three of his children would receive a college education, which was rare for a black family in the late 1800s. John Benson had accomplished so much, and his son, Will continue to build on his father's legacy. All right. William E. Benson was born in 1873 to John and Julia Benson. Growing up watching his father build the community he grew up in, young John, wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. Like his father, Will valued education. He first attended Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, but eventually graduated from Howard University in 1885 here in D.C. After college, William brought his newfound education home and continued to build on the community his family had built. William believed for his community to thrive, they needed education. Okay, true. All right, but that's that worldly education. We all know what the Most High thinks of worldly education. Let's get it real quick. All right, we're here to teach our people. All right, you need to first realize who you are, and then realize who your power is. All right, the Most High's name is Yahweh. His son's name is Yahweh Shai. 1 Corinthians 1. All right. 19. It says, "For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent." 20. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not the Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of the Most High, the world by wisdom knew not the Most High. It pleased the Most High by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. And you have to admit, we do look, weird out there, and this doesn't have to be. But again, these are things you do because we're the ones that went off. And as I say that, let me get this real quick. Oops, wrong one. All right. We're the ones went off. We went off. This is Baruch Chapter 4 and 28. And because of this, it says, Baruch 4 and 28, "For as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High," this is us, "so being returned, seek him 10 times more." You got to go hard. All right. This is what we're trying to tell them. This worldly knowledge, our people constantly, killing themselves for this Federal Reserve note, which is a debt note, all right, which they're getting ready to change up and do away with. That's only going to get you so far. Actually, not far at all when you think about it, all right, because that's not going to save you, Zephaniah 1st chapter, James 5th chapter. None of these things are going to work. Ezekiel 7th chapter, all right. Money ain't going to save you. Silver and gold ain't going to save you, all right. All right, it gives you his education, his credentials and all that. And really, for time's sake, let's see what hand over. It says in 1930, I skipped down like 3-4 paragraphs, but you can read that on your own. In 1913, Kawaliga Academic had over 300 students, a modern library, a band, and both a YMCA and a YWCA. Students learned valuable skills in agriculture and science. Some learned how to blacksmith and cook. Others learned sewing and basket weaving. It was truly a blessing for a community of black who had no other means of education. Will, like his father, never stopped dreaming big. While his school was thriving, Will had goals on bringing a railroad to his community's doorstep. In 1900, he founded the Dixie Industrial Company, which produced lumber and processed cotton. The company also built the Dixie Line in 1914, which was the first black-owned railroad in the company. The company had customers all over the world, but the railroad would be short-lived as World War I would change the landscape of shipping products and goods overseas. William Benson would sadly die in 1915 for his father from a lingering illness. Damn. What did he tell you about the curses? What did I tell you about the curses? So, that's it. All right. Kawaliga will continue to shape young minds for a decade after his death. John Benson died on November 3rd, 1925, 10 years after his son. Benson's town and Kawaliga School was an amazing display of fortitude and perseverance, but it didn't last forever. America's evolution swallowed so much black history in this country. Well, that's a nice way of saying it. Alabama Power Company began construction on the Martin Dam in 1923, 2 years before he died. Once completed in 1926, the dam created heavy upstream flooding that sunk the town of Benson, Susanna, and some Native American lands. What a coincidence. Who knows what could have been of the Kawaliga School and the town created by John Benson and his family. It was given an actual chance to survive. Regardless, they deserve our praise as two of the founders of so-called black excellence. And we got to get away from this black shit. Let me say that before I close. All right? That's a taunt. That's an insult. All right? Right to your face. And our people have learned to wear that as a badge of pride for some fucking reason. All right? And it shouldn't be. But in any case, here we go. I'm going to end with this scripture because this is what these motherfuckers did. Remember I told you, most of the time when it came to our people, it was 1 or 2 generations, if left alone, you know. But they make it out of all these people, they're natural sinkers. All this bullshit, the mental torture and all this, not to mention the physical. This is all the things we have to deal with. But we always got to hear about some hollow hoax for the great pretenders who, the little hats that try to be us. But in any case, let me finish this. This is Psalms 62 and 4. All right, it says a Psalm of David. Skipping down to 4. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. Who is the him? It's us. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Salah. And you see a lot of that. Oh, they'll praise you and big you up in front of your face, but behind your back, they're doing their best to tear you down. All right? They told you, these people are just lazy, they don't want to work. No, but they didn't tell you all the things that they did behind the scenes to make sure that we didn't succeed. Yeah. And more this is coming out. Again, casting shame, on their glory. I'm going to get that next. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Salah. All right. Again, this is something that how many scriptures? Psalms 7 and 15 and 16. Psalms 9, 16. These traps that you set up for us, they're only going to catch you up in them. You're going to be caught by your own foot's going to get caught in them. All right. This is, I mentioned Habakkuk 2. I'm going to skip down to the point for time's sake. It says, thou art filled with shame for glory. There's so much stuff coming out, you can't do nothing to contain it. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered, because, you being laid bare. So, Jeremiah 49 and 10, And this is all the Most High is doing. The cup of the Most High, Yahweh's right hand, shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And it is. And they can't stand it. We don't want to know about critical race theory. Why? Because you're going to see some things about yourself that you didn't want the world to know. Hey, so with that, Shalom.